How does one cultivate and create a good mood all of the time? This is a common question that I get. Seems like you're in a good mood and good spirits, smiley, energetic all the time. How do you maintain that? And I wasn't always like that. And I do hear a lot from people saying that that's fantasy, Disney fairy tale, like it's not real. And I want to impart some wisdom today on this video on specifically what I did and the path that it took for me to create this spirit of lightness, enthusiasm, feeling good, feeling light, not taking life too serious. However, simultaneously at the same time, being relentless with your goals and also being effective, because people typically and incorrectly will label being in a good mood and lighthearted as somebody who's not effective and doesn't get things done. And those things are two completely separate things. Okay, so can you be in a good mood most of the time? Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. And a lot of people do not realize that there's a lot of contributing factors that creates the opposite effect in them, okay? Number one must become hyper aware, sensitive, and continuously begin now to finely tune the mental mechanism. And what I mean by that is it's at a very deep level, but fundamentally, you need to be very careful and change your internal self-talk and also the speech that you put out. Meaning the internal dialogue has to begin to shift. You have to begin to journal, right? Do the affirmation type exercises, but not in a corny way, right? Number one, in a conscious way now, speaking life into yourself versus it just being automatic and in your head. So now you're taking this exercise by the horns and you're doing it where you're taking conscious moments of saying things to change the wiring in your mind and empower yourself, right? I don't mean this in the corny. We're not just going to go in front of the mirror and say, I'm cool, I'm this. No. There's a reason that you do that, because you're taking hold now and control of that mechanism consciously now, and you're doing it in order to start making these changes, okay? So that's the first part. Number two, I want you to become very aware of the spoken statements that you say every day. Start keeping a journal where you write down stuff that you say every day. Everything, random thoughts that you have. Let's say you stub your toe and you're like, oh, I'm an idiot, right? Anything and everything, write it down. Because what you're gonna write down is going to be how you speak and the typical syntax that you use every single day. When you become aware of it, you'll start to see. If you find it difficult to do the words of affirmation, even for like 30 seconds or a minute, and then you jot down these words and phrases and things that you're saying every day, and you notice, like let's say in a day, you're like, wow, like half or more of what I'm saying is like negatively framed or just outright negative, it would make sense why your psyche, your thoughts, and your emotional state is typically negative. We have to first become aware before we can start to change these things. We have to take an assessment of where we're at. And those two things, the first one being the words of affirmation, will begin the conscious way and the conscious choice of doing that as an exercise. It's just a start. But the second piece, which is that awareness of writing things down and then observing it, oh man, that's huge. Because now you can start to shift it. Now if I'm aware and I identify certain phrases and words that I'm saying all the time, I can start to substitute it and write down, hey, when I say this, I'm going to start catching myself and then replacing it and saying something else. So what happens in the beginning is, and you can parallel this with like building focus, right? Like let's say somebody wants to build focus. Well, I guarantee you throughout the day, they float a lot or daydream. And when you daydream, you're not present and aware. So just like that first exercise that I gave you, the whole goal here is to narrow that window of catching things. If I daydream normally for a minute and then I catch it, the whole goal is to start to shrink and reduce that window. That way, if I ever am going to daydream, I can catch it like instantly and get back to here. But if before, it took me a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes to realize it before I caught it, that in itself is an improvement. Same thing can be done with this in regards to what we say. In the beginning, you're gonna say those old phrases and things that you normally say, then you're gonna notice it and catch it and replace it. Eventually, you start catching it as you're saying it, then you catch it right when you're gonna start and you stop yourself, then you stop saying it altogether because now you've completely flipped and reprogrammed that. This is how you can start to implement at a simple level some of this mental technology. Then that automatic recording in your mind, that self-talk begins to shift. And when that shifts, it's directly going to influence your emotional state and then outwardly what you say. You will also, simultaneously by doing this, become a lot more present. And all of you would agree with me that typically when you're present here, you're not upset, you're not angry and all that. When you're up in your head daydreaming or thinking of negative things, that's what manifests a lot of these negative emotions. Because you're floating. You're not here. You're not paying attention. You're not focused on something. This is why people simultaneously also find it so difficult to meditate. They can't just shut stuff off and be present. That's the whole point of meditation, is to learn that, to quiet the mind and be here and sit still. That's also in turn going to help you with focus and many other things. But this first point is huge if one wants to cultivate a good mood. If my self-talk begins to shift and change in a direction that I want it to, and then the spoken word that comes out of my mouth also begins to shift and develop and get better and become more fine-tuned, obviously a lot of things are going to change. This, by the way, is a form of alchemy, word alchemy. I'm looking at perspective, things, experiences, and I'm molding and shaping them into something that serves me. Because you have a choice in all this. That's what I'm basically demonstrating to you, that this is under your control. It's like a mental and verbal alchemist in a way, where you're converting this stuff to gold. And when I mean gold, I don't mean physical gold. I mean gold that's something precious for you that's going to help you move forward. Right? So we have a little bit right there with some of these first points. I know some of the points were a little nuanced and we had to build upon them, but that's a big part of doing, because when you start to do those things, you start to shift. Again, the spoken word, the internal world begins to shift, right? Then it directly affects your emotional state, your perspective on the world, how you process the world. Now we're beginning to go in the direction that we want to go, right? Number 2, environment. Think of your senses. Sound, sight, touch, smell, taste. Right? You smell your mother's cooking. You get a warm feeling, right? Certain symbology, symbols affect you. Right now, let's say you really focused on, hey, I want to get my career going and really get my money up, my income up, which is a phase that I'm in again right now, right? I've had to make a lot of shifts and we're moving forward on different avenues in regards to building income in new businesses and new areas and arenas. What symbology, visuals, pictures, symbols that denote money or your career or finances can you look at that fire you up or inspire you? I remember being a brand new salesperson and real estate agent. I would carry pictures in my coat pocket, my suit pocket, of cars that I wanted, homes that I wanted to own, numbers, like screenshots of big numbers and bank accounts to fire me up. The background on my phone, on my computer, right? I put these pictures, I would like tape them to the mirror on the bathroom, on the ceiling above my bed, so right when I woke up, I would see them. On the little vanity mirror in my car, right? Everywhere. I had these symbols and pictures and visuals, right? This falls into environment that would keep me going because I knew where my focus and attention is, that's what life is going to give me. If I'm focused on creating these things and working towards them all the time, I'm naturally going to be more excited, work more towards them, and eventually they will come to fruition. But see, when I'm looking at something that I desire and a symbol or something that, again, I have an affinity with because I want it or I like it or I enjoy it with any of these senses, it's good. This is why also if you come to my place here, it's clean. Now, is it perfect? No. I have a cleaning lady come every 2 weeks. I do my best to keep it, like an 8 or 9 out of 10 in regards to organization because I know a decluttered space also means a decluttered mind. How we do anything is how we do everything. Smells. You come here, I'm burning incense. The house is clean. It smells good. That also elevates our mood and makes us feel better. If your home is dirty, messy, and doesn't smell good, like I have cats. I have 2 cats. You can't come here and smell cats. Usually when people own animals, you smell the animals. When people come here, they tell me it smells good. They don't tell me it smells like a cat or cats. All of these things, the senses, contribute a lot. You smell good. Things are decluttered and organized. Think of, right, the symbolism right now visually. Everything looks good and organized, right? I have these symbols up on the wall, these pictures in my coat pocket, the backgrounds on my phone, right? I'm putting all these things there for a reason, right? I considered my home, and I still do to this day, this one or any other home that I've ever lived in or owned, as like a sanctuary. And even when I still live with other people, or back in the day when I was younger learning this stuff, when I would live with my parents, I had a corner or my own room or a little spot that, again, for me was like a sanctuary. I had my stuff, my symbols, my pictures, or whatever it was that would be my source of inspiration, or that I would look at that would put a smile on my face. Because all of you have that thing or things that put a smile on your face. And it could be something simple. It could be the samurai sword. For me, for a long time, and it still is a basketball. That symbolizes a lot for me. That also affects your mood. Now imagine you're in an environment with the opposite of things that don't inspire you or make you feel good. You're in a home with smokers and you hate smoking, right? You're in a home or place or environment that's messy and you appreciate organization. That's going to affect your mood. So environment, symbology, and all this stuff that, again, you have a lot of control over because you can control that. To a degree. If you live with somebody else or your parents, create your little corner. Have your little picture on the wall, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you need to start manipulating the environment in a way that serves towards building a better mood. Because one thing that's similar to environment, which is point number 3, that's not identical, but it contributes and it's a part of it, is the people in your life. The people that you interact with on a regular basis, friends, colleagues, coworkers. This is, by the way, one of the main reasons that I knew I wouldn't work a 9-to-5. Because a lot of the 9-to-5 type environments that I was in, whether summer jobs, work study for school, they were not good. People came in with a negative attitude. I didn't enjoy it. Half-assed type of work ethic. And I said, no, that's just not for me. I'm not going to do it. Which is why I've been independent entrepreneur ever since my basketball career ended. And everything that I do, I create my communities and all this, like whether it's my coaching program or my real estate team, my nationwide real estate team or whatever it is. I create that environment, we do events, and we do everything in the spirit of this. But the conversations are high level, everyone's on the same wavelength, we support each other, we're a shoulder to cry on, we hold each other accountable, and everything in between. We mastermind together on a regular basis. That's what it's about. So I know when people tap in with me, it elevates them. And I want to create a community and a place for people to do that, because outside of what we have and what I've created, for a lot of people in my community, they say they don't have that. So if you're watching this video, you need to create that. Or, at the bare minimum, get rid of all the people who are contributing negatively towards that, because that's affecting your mood. If you're around somebody who's always in drama and gossips and talks trash about other people, that's not good. You shouldn't be engaged in that. How the hell are you going to be in a good mood if you're around trash talk all the time? It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. Let's continue. How about some of the habits? What's a habit that you have? Right? And start listing a lot of them. Maybe you like to play video games a lot. Maybe you scroll on TikTok, whatever it is, right? Start to write down 5 or 10 of things that you do. Whether it's a conscious habit or not, write it down. And you'll see right there. If you're a scroller on Instagram or TikTok, you're not going to be in a good mood. Why? The algorithm feeds you nonsense. If you're somebody who watches media a lot, news, you're not going to be in a good mood. Talk shows, you're not going to be in a good mood. Most stuff in the world is negatively framed. So look at your habits. Because people are going to label this as consumption. No, but it's habits. I have the habit every day to, pet my cats and play with them a little bit. Puts me in a good mood. Journal a bit. Work on my book. Finish that sales manual, which I already finished, but I keep adding to it, right? Little things that I do every day. Read. That puts me in a good mood. Check in with my parents, right? Check in with my team. Do a training. All these things feed my soul, and I enjoy doing them. Working out, getting a great workout, and going to the boxing gym, doing calisthenics. All those things I enjoy and continuously contribute to being in a good mood. Eating super healthy, preparing my food. I'm about to make some more food later today. I cook like 99% of the time. Again, puts me in a good mood. Even if I look at it like, man, I'd rather not cook because it's effort, the end result, the taste, the nourishment of it, and how I feel overall, Puts a smile on my face, because then I'm excited about that consistency and discipline that I'm demonstrating to feel good and nourish my body at the highest levels, which directly influences, again, your nervous system, your brain, your bodily functions, and all that, which then leads to a good mood. If you feel better, health-wise, you're going to be in a better mood. A lot of people don't even realize the countless amount of chemicals and garbage that's in the air and in our food and in a lot of the products that we use every day that contribute to you not being in a good mood. That comes down to habits. If you eat a lot of junk food, bad habit. Eat out a lot, bad habit. I can go on and on with this stuff. Now, I'm probably going to make multiple videos on this subject, but let's talk about one more thing before we wrap this one up. The next one is intention. I wake up every day and live my life wanting to be in a good mood, and that's the key. I'm not sitting here like, oh, well, it's impossible. You can't be in a good mood, and being like this pessimistic, overly negative kind of like person. Because I have moments of that, and I've had moments of that. That doesn't feel good. Why would anybody want to live like that? So when I go out, I put a smile on my face. I do my best to engage with people in a good way. Give them a compliment if I feel like, it's genuine and they deserve it. And put out that type of energy. I want to demonstrate to the world that I'm in a good mood, and I want to pour that good mood into everybody that I come across, if given the opportunity. Why? Because that makes the world a better place, puts me in an even better mood, and overall is in alignment with living a life of somebody who's in a good mood most of the time. It takes intention and effort. Think about that. And the more you do that, the more you will become that. And many people, like myself in the past, you may be watching this video like, man, everyone around me is always in a bad mood. That's how I was raised. My default is a bad mood. This is going to be a lot. Absolutely, it is. I used to have what people call the resting bitch face, like the Ice Cube face, all pissed off. People told me, man, it's cool to see you change, because back in the day, like, I was intimidated. I thought you didn't like me, and I was like, man, I was just neutral, but I didn't know until I changed this and became aware of it, like I told you guys throughout this video. And then I took the steps to change it. But you got to have the intention. You got to want to be in a good mood. You have to want to pour that out to the world and create that feeling and beingness within yourself. When you do that, man, everything changes. Because if you look at the emotional tone scale, if you're not familiar with it, being at the top, loose, laughter, right? Feeling happy and grateful about life and hopeful for the future, and you're focused on it, and most of your thoughts and intentions are in the spirit of progress and evolution and getting better, right? And training, right? And all that stuff. Because like when you train, or you're like in your career or whatever it is, and you're trying to get better at it, you have that spirit of competition and wanting to get better, which to me is one of the fundamental things that keeps a human being fulfilled. That's the intention and the focus. To me, you're going to produce a better mood because there's no limit. What I don't like is the counter argument. Well, people are faking it. I'm not faking it. Of course, I'm not perfect and I have my moments too, but overall, I'm in a good mood most of the time. This is why I know in social settings, I have that magnetism. It's not just well-spoken, good communication. It's people know that I'm in a good mood. I'm loose, I'm light. You can't fake that because that's physiological, right? That's subliminal. That's a subconscious communication, not conscious communication. So maybe you could fake it to a certain degree, but you're only going to be able to keep up that facade for so long. And lastly, I'll tie the bow on it like this. When challenges come in, it tests who you are. It's easy when things are going good or in the moments where everything is aligning for you to stay in a good mood. But what happens when something or someone challenges your good mood? Are you going to fold and break, or are you going to continue it? Somebody comes up to you that's rude. Are you going to break and be rude back? Or are you going to be in such a good mood that it doesn't affect you? And then potentially have the skill set to put them in a good mood. You see, that's a new challenge. That requires a lot more effort and focus and certainty within that frame and framework of, I'm in a good mood. Because I'll tell you guys, being in a good mood, life is a lot better. Life is a lot easier. Life is a lot simpler. Life is a lot more enjoyable. And that's what you want. Okay? Appreciate you guys tuning in and watching another video. Let me know, right? Give me a comment. The viewership is starting to go up on this new channel. Is this the direction that you like? Is it what you don't like? You let me know. Leave a thumbs up. I have a ton of free resources for the entrepreneurs here who watch me and potential business people, whether now or coming up in the future. get on my email list, grab one of those free guides that I have in the description, and then if there's anything else I can do for you, you have my website to browse. All right? Appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.